What's up, guys? Shay Stevens here, PDGA number 77522, and today we're checking out the new putter for Streamline, the Autopilot. Let's get to it. Alright guys, before we get started, I just want to apologize if this review feels a little more disjointed than usual. I'm trying to work around my camera getting repaired, and it's been a trip to say the least. So thank you for your understanding. Now, if you've been following Eagles vlogs, for a long time now, especially since he's joined Team MVP, he's been pretty open about his struggles of, rebuilding his game post-injury, having that surgery done, and then also the mental side of it too he's been struggling with, along with all the struggles of trying to learn new plastic. One thing he wasn't totally overt about with, though, was his struggle finding a putting putter. He started off putting with the Nomad, but Eagle has always putted with a beadless putter, and the Nomad does have a bead to it. Then he tried the Pilot for a little bit, and I knew he was struggling when he tried the Stabilizer, which is an overstable, honestly, it's an approach disc. It's not meant to be a putting putter. So that was kind of a red flag that he was having trouble being, finding comfort on the green. But looks like MVP has solved that problem for him, because we now have the Autopilot. Eagle said he had a lot of input for this for MVP to design it for him, and it sounds like the first batch of protos was a hit, and obviously it was. He won his Swedish Open. MVP sent me 3 prototypes here. Flight numbers for the Autopilot are speed of 2, glide of 3, turn of 0, and a fade of 1.5. So a slightly overstable putter, and I'm guessing an Electron is going to beat in nice to have that torque resistance and just be a nice straight shooter for a putting putter. MVP sent me all 3 stiffness blends here, so I got a 173 gram firm, a 173 gram medium, and a 175 gram soft boy. And I will say, when you push down on the flight plate, you can definitely feel the difference. Like the soft boy does have some give on the flight plate, but the rims on all 3 of these are very stiff, so there's not really a bend to it. And I was talking to Chad from MVP, and he said they're aware of that issue and they are working on it. So just so you guys know, again, this is a very early stage prototype that's it's getting pushed out quickly. I don't know if the ones that were made available to the public on the MVP Pro Shop are of the same prototype run, but if you got the soft boys, they might not be soft, so just expect that. But MVP is aware of the problem and working on it. Now, in terms of feel, honestly, they feel great. The guys in the MVP mod chat are poking fun at me like, hey, are these going to replace your anodes? MVP has really been coming after my staples in my bag, so it's going to be a challenge. I've put the anode since day one of switching over to MVP, so it's going to take a lot to make me switch, to something new. But yeah, they do feel great. A lot of people were saying, oh, is it a modified Pilot, given the name Autopilot, but definitely has a very different hand feel to the Pilot, in my opinion. Another theory was, MVP just ripped off the Rainmaker, the modified P2 that Discmania made for him. Definitely not a P2, has a different bottom to it. I'm guessing that's to accommodate Eagle's change in putting style. When he putted those Rainmakers, he had a very aggressive straight-on spin putt. Now he has more of a floaty nose-up spin putt, and I think the bottom of this disc is definitely meant to accommodate that style and, just make things easier for him. So it definitely has a different feel to it. If you are looking for that P2 replacement, this isn't going to be it exactly. But, yeah, let's take a look at some side-by-sides and see what we're working with. All right, guys, starting off the comparisons. First off, we want to take a look at these testers, make sure they are nice and consistent. They are putters, so I'm not expecting some wild variants, and sure enough, soft versus medium first up. They're mirror images, guys. Party lines are matched up. Everything's looking good. Next up, we got the medium versus the firm, and yep, looking nice and consistent. Attaboy MVP. All right, guys, for our first side-by-side comparison, we got Eagle's new putter up against his old putter, the Nomad. So parting lines are lining up pretty nicely, but the noses of these discs are pretty different. Autopilot, more of a rounded nose, pretty blunt versus the Nomad, a little bit sharper. Looks like it has a little bit of a lower profile as well. And then the Nomad obviously finishes into that bead, which Eagle did not like, whereas the Autopilot finishes down onto a smooth bottom. Yeah, the Nomad's really designed for that aggressive spin putt, the James Conrad putt. And now that Eagle's got more of a floaty nose-up putter style, the Autopilot is definitely going to be more conducive for that. All right, for our next comparison, we have the Autopilot up against the Pilot. So starting off parting lines, pretty darn close. Autopilot is a smidge higher. But again, the nose of the Autopilot is just very distinct. It's just so darn blunt. It takes so long for that nose to rise up and then eventually taper off to the flight plate. compared to the Pilot, just tapers off a lot sooner, so it's going to have a bit of a lower profile to it. Bottoms of the disc, again, the Autopilot has that smooth finish to the bottom, where the Pilot kind of finishes into a small bead, so different hand feel, definitely, and I'm expecting the Autopilot, based on this, just to be a smidge more overstable than the Pilot. We'll find out when we get out to the course. Next, another comparison I wanted to investigate. Someone on one of the MVP fan groups implied that the Autopilot was just a solo mold Ion, and I have no idea where they got that from, because these are two very different molds. So starting off, parting lines, the Ions is a little bit higher, so a little more overstable. And then just, again, the profiles. The nose of the Autopilot is just incredibly blunt, versus the Ion, which is, has more of a smooth nose, transitions up to the top. It has a little bit of dome to it, honestly. The Autopilot rapidly rises up to the dome, and then it really flattens off as it gets to the top. So more of a flat top putter, if that's your thing. And then the bombs of the disc, incredibly different. Ion, again, finishes down the bottom to a very big bead versus the smooth bottom finish on the Autopilot. So yeah, not sure where that idea came from, but not much merit to it. All right, guys, one final comparison, really, for me. Autopilot versus the Anode, my go-to putting putter for over a decade now. Starting off, parting lines are pretty comparable, which is interesting because their flight characteristics should be quite different. In electron plastic, the Anode's flight numbers are speed of 2.5, glide of 3, turn of 0, fade of 0. It's a very neutral putter. I love it for pitch putting and just, straight shots for upshots. Autopilot is going to have that fade of 1.5. I'm guessing, again, that nose is going to be the main contributing factor. It's just so darn blunt. When this disc is slowing down, it's going to have so much drag. It's going to really have that hyzer. And yeah, I'm guessing it's definitely going to have more bite than an Anode. So yeah, let's head out to the course and see if we can observe that fade in flight and on the putting green. All right, guys, welcome to Sedgley. Figured I'd sneak down here, do a little 9-hole loop with the Autopilot, see what it's all about. So I think my plan is I'm going to be throwing the soft and the firm, and I'll be putting with the medium because that feels good for my putting. So hole 1, 201 feet. Trying to decide, do I want to go backhand or forehand with this? Going through the layout in my head, I don't think there's going to be many opportunities to throw forehands. I'm going to try on hole 1 here, so I'm going to go with the firm boy, right? Oh, never mind, this is a softie. Yeah, give me the softie. Or give me the firm guy for forehands. All right, so we're going to try and hang this out towards that wood pile on the left. Come on back. A little shaky out of my hand, hung it up on the left side. All right, we almost got away with one there. But I got a clean look at least, although a lot of branches down. All right. Just a bit wide. All right, and I am rushing a little bit just because there's a bunch of people trying to get off onto the course, so trying to get out of their way. We'll take a par to start. All right, we're on to hole 2. 362 feet, so definitely not a hole you can get with a putter. Remember, every hole in Sedgley plays as a par 3. So this is a heck of a flex shot with a driver for me to get this. But I'm just gonna throw the softy boy straight ahead, hopefully flat, and it'll just have that fade, or hopefully has that 1.5 fade. We're gonna find out. Threw it hyzer, and it's pretty stable. Do I have a mini in here? Yes, I do. Good. Realize I'm gonna need a marker so I can throw the disc again. All right, so decent positioning here. This has the right side's opened up a bit since those big trees came down. I could throw a forehand up, but I think a backhand's gonna be the best play just to set it nice. Yep, that should be a tap-in. All right, so a little formality tap-in. All right, I think we got a bit of a buffer between us and the cards going off to talk a bit. Slow it down, execute some shots,
So, initial thoughts. Feels nice. That was a sick scooter. I love Vespas. So, MVP build this as like a medium depth putter. I would say it is medium, but closer towards the deeper dish side. I do have smaller fingers, but still feels pretty comfortable to grip. I fan grip all my putters when I throw them. And as you know, for putt, for like a putting feel, does feel interesting with the flat top. I do like a little bit of shoulder on my putters, so I do have to adjust to that. But hole 3, 175 feet. We're just gonna throw it right at the big tree, let it die into the basket. Giddy skip. All right, might be a little bit of a scary putt. All right, another foot or two of height, and I would have probably got down the little slope here, been under the basket, but this should be a problem. There we go. All right, hole 4, 231 feet. Down the tunnel, to the left a little bit. Really, if you just throw a straight shot, you're happy. I'm feeling like I gotta keep this flat. It feels like the minute you tip this disc on hyzer, it just starts fading. So I gotta really throw it flat, maybe even a little ante to stretch it. We'll find out. Yep, I threw it on a baby hyzer, and yeah, it just really wants to buy into that hyzer, but I think it pushed forward enough that's gonna work. Okay, this might be my best drive ever on this hole. Hole 5, we're going 195 to the OG pin, right? Yeah. So it's straight up the chute here. So, thoughts on the flight so far? It's kind of like an Envy without the forward pushing fade. Going outside the brand, maybe like almost like a DD Slammer from I haven't thrown one in many years, but that's how the Slammer kind of flew like my Envies. It just doesn't glide. It feels like a slower disc. See, if the thing is flying like an Envy, just not as far as an Envy. So let's give it some beans. And again, I don't think I can. I really want to try and avoid putting this on hyzer, but it just seems to be my release today. So give it a little ante to stretch it. And that felt good, but it might be short. I usually underestimate this hole for some reason. All right, that's 2 really good drives from the autopilot back to back. All right, hole 6, 181 feet, little uphill. This is gonna be another opportunity to try a forehand, so we're gonna go back to the firm one. T-pad's got a whole bunch of dirt on it from all the runoff from the storms, probably. Push! I had to throw that flat. I got caught up in the bunker. Yeah, I had to come out flat with that shot, unfortunately. I've really been working on my forehand hyzers and hyzer flips, so I'm just kind of locked in that mode right now. Could normal putt. Straddle to me the best though. I just gotta set this up nice and flat. Oh, I like the release. I thought I was gonna hyzer more. All right, a little bit of a bummer there. I was trying to play the 1.5 fade. It didn't really show up till the end. All right, hole 7, 261 feet. This is gonna be a rip. Got the hum of chainsaws in the background. Shout out to the friends at Sedgley Woods doing a workout here. So you got some overgrowth just from, it being summer. But then we had that big storm come through, so I'm sure stuff came down too. All right, so I'm going softy boy, right? Yep. Soft. Probably gotta hit a little ante on it. And really gotta rip this. Beat that tree. I beat the tree. Might have a dirty putt. We'll see. All right, now for someone like Eagle with that floaty nose up spinner, this would be easy. That is not my style, though. So we are outside the circle, so I can step this, so I can see what a step putt feels like with it. But I gotta keep it low and piercing. Oh, just inside. And a little cleanup. All right, on to hole 8. 193 feet. The low gap has actually opened up a little bit, which is interesting. I just want to see somebody like Heiser flip a fairway driver just right at this thing. That'd be cool. That's not in the cards today, though. I'm just going to go with my usual play, which is a putter stall shot over the top. Just let it kind of, push towards the basket, die out, then Heiser on the basket. So, gonna go softy, yep. I just gotta send this, and again, I gotta put it up there flat. Little Heiser on it, it didn't need. Oh, I hit the guardian tree and rolled back. All right, luckily I rolled off the tree into the side so I wasn't blocked by it. Yes. A foot further, that might have been an ace line. All right, got another birdie. All right, wrapping things up. Hole 9. 256 feet, but deceptively uphill. So, this is going to be a pump.
What's up, Shay?
What's up, guys?
Filmy film today, huh?
Yeah, I got the autopilot. Alrighty. So I'm gonna go with the firm boy. Just to maybe get some ground play, 'cause I'm gonna need every inch I can get off this shot. Oh, tried to kill it. Alright, we got some work here, guys. I was really trying to rip that. For context, I typically throw a control on that hole just to keep it low, and that overstability usually gets me some ground play up to the basket. So I gotta flex this guy through that big gap. There's a sneaky Heiser on. I could go forehand around, but there's a lot of branches in the flight that would ruin it. So we're gonna go turn over. That'll do. You guys hear me say it all the time. I love throwing overstable just on Anheuser and just getting those nice panning shots. But yeah, that'll do it for this 9 holes. Playing with the autopilot. I might sneak out to the back 9 and throw it a bit more just to get a better feel on it. But yeah, for final thoughts, back to Shay.
All right, guys, I went on to the back 9 just to get more reps in with the autopilot, just learn it better. And I figured out a lot of shots on hole 10. I figured out the forehand, just a little bit of Heiser, snap it clean, and it flies nice and stable. It landed into the wooden frame around that green and gave me an easy birdie. Hole 13, I thought I rang it up. I was able to give this disc a full rip, which is kind of the challenge on that hole, is distance checking yourself. And I think I came in just short of the basket. Would have been a really sick ace. Haven't gotten essentially ace yet. But that was another birdie. So yeah, as a throwing putter, I really like the autopilot. It's like a weird in-between of like the Stasis and the Envy. It kind of flies like an Envy, but just not as far. The Envy has that forward pushing Heiser from the overmold, and this is a solo mode, so it kind of more has a more dramatic Heiser, I feel. When it's done flying, it gets to the ground a little quicker. So he has a throwing putter, a lot of fun. As a putting putter, it's just not my cup of tea. I don't like flat top putting putters, and this thing is nice and flat top. So if that's your thing, here's your putter. Very serviceable still. I was able to, connect with it on a lot of putts from, decent range, but in terms of hand feel, not my favorite. So will not be bumping the anode out. Sorry, that disc and I have a long relationship. It is going to be continuing, but yeah, going forward, I'll be doing my part to, share these around the local community, let everyone get a feel, see if they like it. I believe the commemorative autopilots for Eagles Win have shipped out. First, or the initial reports are there the firm blend. So if you like a firm putting putter, and this seems to be your style, those are gonna be something you're gonna look into. But yeah, once again, thank you to MVP for sending me these testers. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little review. If you have any questions for me, reach out. I'll do my best to answer them. Take care. Thank you to my sponsors. For all your disc golf needs, check out Phoenix Discs and Foundation Disc Golf.